It's time for the Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
All right, and here we are. It is Sunday night. That can only mean one thing. Yes, we are back with a brand new Ron and Brian podcast, episode 163. And with me, as always, Brian. Brian, how the heck are you this Sunday night?
Normally, I would sit there and give some BS answer. I would lie. I would say things that aren't true. However, this week, I will be 100% honest and say that I'm doing pretty lousy. On Friday, as many of you are aware, I went into Mount Sinai Hospital in Union Square, lovely New York City, and had my left knee operated on.
You
know, Ron, it's all those years of falling down. I can't say that was definitely the reason, but let's just put it this way. I had a torn meniscus, as a recent MRI showed. Had reached the point where walking on my left leg had proven to be unpredictable in terms of whether the knee was going to be stable and not blow. And my surgeon afterwards, when I chatted with him after the surgery, said that he described my meniscus as shredded.
That not how you want it to be.
Not at all. Those are not the words that you want to hear. You want to hear that when you're working out, you know? This was the meniscus, something you want stable, you want firm.
Or if someone says, like, how you want your mozzarella, you might say shredded.
I want my fresh mutz. My fresh mutz.
How do you want your meniscus? In one piece.
So I had surgery on Friday. It has disrupted my entire life since. I am in pain as we speak, but I am still doing this show on time. That is the dedication.
That's right.
I may sweat through this shirt tonight.
And would you consider selling a podcast worn shirt soaked with your sweat to one of our fans?
Oh, absolutely. I would sell this one in a heartbit.
I'll
put it up on. Now, I have a question.
Yeah.
I know that eBay has a policy where you can't sell, worn clothes, like, Japanese girls aren't allowed to sell their panties online anymore. I know that you're not allowed to sell teeth and other body parts. Would I be able to, according to the eBay terms and conditions, would I be able to sell a sweat drenched T-shirt?
Again, I think it's if we list it properly as a live episode worn shirt, then people know what they're getting.
So we don't discuss that it was soaked through and then subsequently dried, but still contains lots of my DNA.
Or we can find where that one OnlyFans woman sold her bathwater through.
Belle Delphine.
Yeah. So wherever she sold her bathwater, I would assume you also sell your sweat-soaked T-shirt.
Perfect.
But in the meantime,
Ron?
Yes.
Ron, how are you doing?
I can't complain. It's end of the weekend, beginning of another busy week, but I am doing the one thing I love to do each and every week, and that's do this podcast right here with you, my friend.
Oh, I like your haircut, by the way, sir.
Thank you. Got it, clipped a little bit, a little slicked back. So
I really like the short on the sides, longer on the top look.
It's a good look. So I think we're going to stick with it for a bit.
Excellent.
You look like a man who could use a drink.
Drink of the week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the week.
Pleasure. Fools.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
All right, Brian, what did you bring to drink this evening?
Water, Ron. I've got water. I've been popping 40 milligrams of Vicodin 4 times a day since Friday. So I thought it might not be a great idea to mix alcohol with that. So I've decided to go sober this episode.
All right. You know what Vicodin is the official medicine of?
Hot
What?
Podcaster Summer.
Repaired meniscus or not, it is still Hot Podcaster Summer.
Oh yeah. What are you drinking, Ron?
So I went local this time. I went with our good friends at Yards Brewing right here in Philadelphia, PA. And of course, since it is
Hot Podcaster Summer.
I went with their Summer Crush, their citrus wheat beer, clocking in at a reputable 5%. Like the name would imply, very crushable. Again, this is one that I've had many times in my life.
Take a sip. Now, my question is, when they say crushable, that means like it's the kind of beer you can drink all throughout the day at a heavy pace?
Exactly. So it's,
Okay.
like I said, it's wheat beer with that little bit of citrus aftertaste, only coming in at 5%. So it's pretty good.
Well, you went back for the immediate second sip, which is, I equate that during the drink of the week to Johnny Carson inviting a comedian over to sit on the couch. That is like the official blessing that you're funny or that Johnny likes you, is when you take a sip of your beer, you put it down, and then you go right back for a second one.
Yeah. I will be possibly having a second beer when we do After Dark later tonight, which is exclusive content for our Patreon subscribers. What's that? You're not a Patreon subscriber yet? Well, just go to ronandbrianpodcast.com. You see the website right down there on the bottom of the screen. But if you go to the upper right-hand corner of ronandbrianpodcast.com, you will see where you can click to become a patron. And that
Absolutely.
our Patreon plug of the night, leading into a little bit of racism.
This
Week.
in
Racism.
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 Brian, I've got a solid 2 pages of racism again, 11 font. We're probably going to run a smidge over 10 minutes because I also have some video clips this week as well.
We like video clips.
Oh yeah, it's been a while, but had to pull some clips from this one gentleman. So let's get right into the racism. Students lost their spot at a private school in Gahanna, Ohio, after 2 mothers violated its enrollment agreement by going on a right-wing podcast to complain about the school's teaching of racism. Columbus Academy told mothers Andrea Gross and Amy Gonzalez their expelled children would not be permitted to re-enroll in the 2020-2021 school year, stating a campaign of false and misleading attacks on the school. A West Virginia school has paused a program called Black Math Genius because white parents felt it somehow represented critical race theory. At last month's meeting of the Jefferson County Schools, white parents complained that the program was racist and segregationist, despite the fact that the program is open to students of any color. The reason for the name is that in addition to math skills, it also includes African contributions to mathematics. The summer school program was implemented due to low math proficiency scores across the board, but those students in need will now no longer have access to needed education. A black ex-employee at Tesla's factory in Fremont, California, claims he was called the N-word approximately 100 times and saw KKK signs and swastikas graffitied in bathroom stalls. The statement comes from Aaron Craven and is one of more than 100 other declarations sworn under penalty of perjury that are part of a 500-page exhibit filed in March 2021 for a 2017 lawsuit that alleges Tesla discriminates against black people. Another of the statements is from ex-contractor Aaron Miner, who alleged he heard Tesla employees refer to the Fremont factory as the plantation and its black employees as cotton workers. The Tulane University School of Medicine was placed on probation last week by a national accreditation board due to allegations of racism and discrimination within its graduate program. The Accreditation Council for Graduate Medical Education informed the school's dean of the decision on July 2nd. The ACGME began making visits to the school last spring following the suspension of Dr. Princess Denner, a black woman who was the director of the school's internal medicine of pediatrics residency. Dinar accused the School of Medicine of retaliating against her for a federal lawsuit she filed in October of 2020, which alleged racial and gender discrimination against her and her residents. Texas Republican officials pressured a museum into pulling out of hosting an event meant to promote a book that examines the role slavery played leading up to the Battle of the Alamo. The Bullock Texas State History Museum was set to host the event last week, but museum officials pulled out just a few hours before it was set to begin. Penguin Random House, the publisher of the book, released a statement that said the Bullock was receiving increased pressure on social media about hosting the event, as well as to the museum's board of directors, one of whom is Texas Governor Abbott, and decided to pull out as co-host altogether. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick also bragged about the cancellation on his Twitter account. On June 26th, 22-year-old Knoxville, Tennessee police officer Tanner Holt was attending a wedding ceremony when witnesses said he told Jonathan Toney, a black guest, quote, "I didn't know they let black people in the reception hall." He also allegedly made other comments and even claimed he is part of the black community. An incident report states that Holt continued to make racial remarks despite Toney telling him several times to stop talking about race. Toney ended up knocking out Holt with one punch, with Holt reportedly suffering serious injuries. All witnesses said Holt was very drunk at the wedding. The Knoxville Police Department's Internal Affairs Unit is investigating the incident. And probably the worst person we'll talk about this week is Edward Cagney Matthews of Mount Laurel, New Jersey. He went viral this week due to a video of him yelling racial slurs at his neighbor due to prolonged issues with the community's homeowner association board. In addition to the racist rant, he also called out anyone that had an issue with him by giving his home address at the end of the video. So I've cut this down significantly because this is about a 6-minute rant that this guy went on, but we'll pick up just a smidgen of it right here.
Fucking niggers out of here and you can't do shit. That's me talking shit. 3602 Gramercy Way, that's where I live. Come fuck.
So yes, that is where he lives.
This was all over the news in New York. This was all over the news because he got his shit shut down.
Yes. Putting out his address basically resulted in somewhere in the ballpark of 100 to 150 protesters showing up at his house until he was eventually taken into custody by local police and charged with assault and bias intimidation due to the pushing and multiple racial slurs he used in the video. Police confirmed with local media that they have had calls about Edwards before, and a neighbor who asked to remain anonymous said that he vandalized her home shortly before the viral incident. In addition, we also have this clip of Mr. Matthews shot by one of his black neighbors back in 2017.
Sell drugs. That's what I do. That's what I've always done around here. I stopped, went to prison 3 times. Now I have all the friends with the cops. If you guys want to keep doing it this route, we're going to go the legal route. You're not going to get any help from the cops because they're my people. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That's why you're not getting anything. And I know that you've said that. The cops came down and told me. They said, what do you want us to do? So you can figure that out. We're not trying to cause you a problem. You're not trying to cause us a problem, right?
I've never been trying to cause you a problem.
Right. So there's no reason for the cops to come back around. We should be perfectly cordial, be able to have these conversations and be able to live around here with no problem.
Yeah, but now what you're talking about, oh, the cops aren't going to help you, or calling my brother a nigger. I don't bother you. I don't do anything.
Calling your brother a nigger?
Yeah, you did do that.
No, I said now I'm going to call the cops like the niggers do. That's what I said. I didn't call your brother a nigger.
You said you fucking nigger.
I said now here I go looking like a fucking nigger calling the cops. This is exactly what I said.
Well, we all heard it.
We all heard you?
We all heard it, yeah. Everybody outside. I couldn't believe it because I wasn't even in the argument.
Right, and you weren't even there either.
Yeah,
and
I came outside up top.
Keep doing what you're doing, and then we'll turn it around another way. How about that?
Okay, turn it around another way. I just recorded everything you said on my phone, so go ahead, because I'm about to go file a complaint right now.
You can file.
I am. The whole conversation.
So later in the week, local prosecutors added 2 counts of criminal mischief and charges of possession of a weapon, a slingshot, which apparently he used to knock out people's windows, for an unlawful purpose, possession and intent to distribute a controlled dangerous substance, stalking, unlawful possession of a weapon, and drug paraphernalia charges. Yes, Brian,
This is a terrible story. This is a terrible story. the highlight for me personally of this story was that while he was holed up in his home and there were protesters protesting outside, he ordered pizza to be delivered for food because I guess he was hungry and didn't want to cook or whatnot. And the protesters prevented Domino's from delivering his food. They paid the delivery guy and then stood outside this guy's home eating his pizza. It was so appropriate. It was such a chef's kiss.
Right.
There's all these protesters screaming while holding his pizza outside his window, eating it. Oh, what a piece of garbage this guy is.
In the meantime, like this video from 4 years ago, like he's like, no, I didn't call your brother the N-word. I used the N-word in a completely different manner.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, also keep in mind, 4 years ago, you could use the N-word a lot more liberally than you can now.
I suppose.
If you're living in southern New Jersey.
You would think we're out of racism, but we have a lot to cover in Racism Rewind.
Racism
No more.
Rewind.
Normally we have like one or two stories that we can catch up on. We got the mother load this week. We have 6 stories to revisit in this week's Racism Rewind. Going back to last week, we discussed how Nicole Hannah-Jones was finally granted tenure by the trustees of UNC Chapel Hill. Well, this week she decided to turn down their job offer and join Howard University, where she will be a tenured member of the faculty of the Kathy Hughes School of Communications, filling the newly created Knight Chair in Race and Journalism. She will also lead the university's newly created Center for Journalism and Democracy. Michigan man Lee Muat, who pled guilty in March to 2 federal hate crime charges resulting from a June 2020 incident where he hit a black teenager in the face with a bike lock and also attempted to attack another black teenager, he was sentenced this week to 5 years in prison. Also this past week, the FBI has requested a re-examination of Ronald Green's autopsy as a result of the graphic leaked body camera footage that shed light on the circumstances that may have led to his 2019 death while in the custody of Louisiana state troopers. We reported previously that initial police reports stated that Green died after crashing into a tree following a high-speed pursuit, but the body cam footage showed several state troopers beating Green with a flashlight, placing him in a chokehold, and dragging him by his ankles while he's laid out on his stomach.
Jeez.
The firing of the officer who fatally shot 12-year-old Tamir Rice will stand after the Ohio Supreme Court denied his appeal. The court declined to hear former Cleveland police officer Timothy Loman's appeal regarding his 2017 firing from the department, which was not as a result of the shooting, but because of inaccuracies on his application for the job. So killing a 12-year-old doesn't get you fired. Misfilling out your job application. Well, anyway.
Well, was one of the questions on the application, will you kill an innocent 12-year-old? And he wrote no?
Very possibly. We'll have to look into that.
Right.
This goes back a few months here. A third-party investigation found that there was no racial bias at play when a Michigan school staff member cut a biracial child's hair. The Mount Pleasant Public School District released a statement saying that the investigation found that the employee violated school policy by cutting the girl's hair, but that there was no evidence that the incident was motivated by racial bias. The statement didn't disclose who conducted the independent investigation, and apparently the employee in question, the librarian, has been put on final notice. And then lastly, a 3-person civilian panel cleared an LAPD officer for sharing a photo on Facebook of George Floyd, formatted like a Valentine's Day card that read, "You take my breath away," after they determined that they only shared it to bring to the attention of their superior that other officers were sharing it. This is despite Police Chief Michelle Moore directing the officer to go before the Board of Rights panel in May with the recommendation that the officer be fired. It also does not address if the other officers are under investigation. So there you have it, Brian. A lot of racism and a lot of Racism Rewind this week.
I don't like all that.
It was yet another rough week to be putting this stuff together.
I don't like any of that, Ron.
No, sir.
You know me. You know I like fairness.
I know you are. If nothing, you are not fair. You know,
I try to be fair.
Brian, we don't like
what?
We don't like having beefs, but we have them each and every week. Brian, I can almost guess, but what's bothering you this week?
Obviously, what's bothering me is my left knee. It is swollen. Like it looks like somebody installed a box inside of my knee. It hurts like hell. What's odd is that they drilled through the front of the knee and then worked themselves around to work on the meniscus. Because the back of my knee hurts like a motherfucker, but you could see the stitches are on the front. Anywho, putting that aside, what's really bothering me is the United States Postal Service. I ordered a package from a package of merch from a band I enjoy, which also included a very nice custom beer mug.
Ooh.
And it was supposed to be delivered on Friday, but it was supposed to be delivered Saturday, but I get a message at 10:01 from the USPS website saying delivery attempted, no access to delivery location.
To your home?
Now, Ron, I am recovering from knee surgery. I was home the whole freaking time.
Right.
There's no way they didn't try to ring my doorbell. They just gave up. That's my beef of the week. The U.S. Postal Service. If you're going to deliver something, you're going to charge me postage to provide the service. Deliver the damn thing. Ring the doorbell.
There you go. Or leave it in the lobby. I mean, come on. It's New York. You can get in people's lobbies a lot easier than people would like to think.
Ron, do you break into people's lobbies when you come visit my town?
On occasion.
Good for you.
If a door is open, I might just run in, just see what's going on.
All right. Ron, what's bothering you this week?
This week, again, it was a relatively quiet week, but I would say if I have a beef this week, it is with Netflix, and more specifically with the fact that they continue to bring this god-awful show called Virgin River back for a third season. Brian, I see the confusion on your face. You were fortunate enough to probably not have watched any of Virgin River, but it is.
Oh, but it's got Alexandra Breckenridge. I love her.
But it's one of my wife's favorite shows. I like to think of it as if you took the TV show Ozark and had it rewritten by the people that do the AARP magazine. Virgin River is pretty much like, it's almost like a adult contemporary drama.
Searching for a fresh start, a nurse practitioner moves from LA to a remote Northern California town and is surprised by what and who she finds.
Yeah, I mean, it's got, your typical romance, it's got, drama, but then it also has like a drug cartel apparently running business out of a local lumber company, and people are getting kidnapped and shot, but there doesn't seem to really be any police around. Like, it just seems to really be like the wild, wild west.
Well, this is northern remote California, so, the police are not going to have the same presence that they do in rural Pennsylvania, where, Bill Cosby's walking free every day.
Exactly. So that's my beef. I think of good shows that, Netflix has canceled, and yet they keep this one on, and it feels like it's going on forever.
Okay, so your wife is watching it now. Why is she forcing you to watch it as well?
She doesn't. She thankfully now will, turn it on when I'm not around. But there are still times that I will come in from whatever I'm doing, and she's right in the middle of an episode, so I'm like, all right, I'll sit till this is done. And then she will kindly turn it off afterwards. But even just like small doses of it, just really just get to me.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't.
I will tell you, I don't think it's good.
Straight up, it does not look like the kind of thing I would want to watch.
No. But speaking of TV shows, Brian, what are you watching?
Oof. Ron, I've been watching a lot of TV since I've been laid up. First off, Loki, episode 5.
5. So good.
So many Lokis. So confusing. First off, now you've watched it. I'm assuming you're up to speed.
I'm all up to speed. Spoiler alert for anyone that has not yet watched episode 5.
Okay. What's the deal with the orange pill? The hologram orange pill?
Oh, Miss Minutes?
No. You first off, I refuse to allow you to assign a name to the character.
Right. I feel like it's like an AI of some sort. Like it's tied into like their computer database, and it's almost like a very high-tech Alexa.
So I saw it more as like, remember the little paper clip that would pop up when you opened up Word, and it would be like,
Yeah.
I believe it looks like you're trying to write a letter. And
Right.
you'd just be like, exit out. Suddenly this little orange, it looks like a little orange crush pops up and just starts saying, hey, how's it going? It's stupid. It's fucking stupid. Second of all, this episode contained some of the worst fight scenes that television has seen since Adam West starred on Batman. There's this one big battle royale scene where there's like fucking 85 different variants all fighting, none of them landing any serious blows, nobody actually getting hurt. There's no purpose of it, and then it ends.
We needed to have a little bit of conflict in the episode.
I didn't sense any conflict. Last of all, my other point, and I'm really hoping you can explain this to me again in a way that I can understand, is now it seems now like every variant is referred to as a Loki.
Right.
So is the character Loki or is a variant Loki? And this one that we're just looking at happens to be one that was introduced as Loki.
I mean, the Loki that we're used to is in the universe that we've been following throughout the movies.
So now, but they also show a different version of him in the fight scene.
Well, that was President Loki, which was from one of the comic book storylines, from an alternate universe Loki that becomes president.
I want to respect you, Ron. I want to respect you. I want to look up to you. I want you to be the person that like I want to be. And like every now and then you just you say something that breaks my heart. And to sit there and hear you say the words, oh, well, that's President Loki, who was in many of the comic books. Oh, it just hurts.
Does it break your heart or does it more enrage you?
Kind of enrages and it disappoints. Now, what were your takeaways from episode 5?
I liked it. I think it was very interesting. Again, I don't want to give too many spoilers. Again,
feel free to. Anybody watching the show that is sitting to be like, "Ooh, I can't wait to watch all the Lokis." Fuck that. You have terrible taste.
Like this definitely was an episode that I think you really more. I mean, if you've been enjoying the series, it was good. It advanced the story, but I think it also had, a ton of like callbacks to a lot of different Marvel stuff and comic books and things like that.
How did this episode advance the storyline?
So basically, we now know that they're about to find the individual or individuals that are behind the formation of the TVA.
We don't know that. We know that they're looking for it.
Listen, all I can tell you is there's one episode left.
Yeah. So there's just so what is to stop the next episode of The Mandalorian where they're like, okay, well now we're gonna find who's running the timeline, and they go to wherever the timeline is, and now they just find I don't know, a disc man, a Sony disc man, and they're like, what's this? And it's like, stay tuned for season 2 of Loki, where we take Loki to another planet, and he gets introduced to a gecko that's called Loki.
Well, speaking of which, Billy would like to know, what is your opinion of alligator Loki?
Alligator Loki bit off somebody's arm in a humorous way that we all thought was supposed to be funny. It was garbage. It was just garbage.
All right, but besides Loki, since that was only about 45 minutes, what else have you been watching?
I am now completely on board with Kevin Can Kill Himself, or whatever that show is. Kevin Can Go Fuck Himself, something along those lines. It was an awkward first episode. They have really held true to the sitcom world and the drama world involving the exact same characters while moving the storyline forward. I don't know how many episodes are remaining, but I'm absolutely enjoying them. This weekend, what did I watch? I watched Wimbledon. I watched the women's final yesterday. I watched the men's final earlier today. I also watched yesterday's Copa America, where Argentina defeated Brazil. And then earlier today, not just a few hours ago, was the European Cup.
Euro 2020.
Euro 2020, oddly, in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched Italy defeat England in penalty kicks after watching them go back and forth for 120 fucking minutes plus injury time. And I won money on all four of those events.
Very nice. I'm very proud of you.
But I lost. What are you watching, Ron?
So again, I did watch Loki. I liked it more than you did. I watched the second installment of the Fear Street movies on Netflix. They released the second one, 1978. Last week was 1994. Actually, even liked the second one, I think, a little bit more than the first. Again, really did it in that late 70s, early 80s, slasher movie type motif. Just well done. They tend to like overdo the soundtrack a bit. Like whatever era they're in, they will play, they'll play like 10 seconds of a song from that era and then do like a minute of dialogue and then play like another song. But overall, I liked it. Looking forward to the third and final installment, Fear Street 1666, which I assume comes out next Friday. We shall see.
And that takes place in 1666?
It does. Yes, it does. And you see the tie-in at the end of the movie, how you end up in 1666.
All right, that's fair. Anything else did you watch?
And then I watched the new release from Marvel Studios, Black Widow, starring Scarlett Johansson. In a movie.
Now you saw that in the movie. You saw that in the movie theaters.
I saw that at home. Wink. Yes, exactly. So long movie, 2 hours, 15 minutes, but it moves. It's a lot of action. Just the whole first half hour is just action. Okay. And I think something you might like is the fact that you don't really need to know a lot of backstory to really follow.
Oh.
So even though it's a Marvel movie, and yes, there are some tie-ins from the Avengers and some of the other movies, I think even you could watch it and be like, okay, all right, I don't know everything, but I know enough to follow the story.
Who is the Black Widow? And don't say it's Scarlett Johansson, but what is the character?
So, I mean, the character is, a young girl that was taken from her family by the Russians, trained to be like an assassin, and then eventually defects over to the good guys and then becomes an Avenger. And I believe the timeline of this takes place, I think, just before Captain America Civil War, that movie. But then the end credit scene jumps into present day and has a tie-in with one of the Marvel Studios shows. So we do have some questions popping up. Does Ron watching that at home cost Brian $30? Fun fact, you would think that it might cost the individual who has the Disney Plus account that money. So you would Venmo that person the money before ordering the movie. And then you order the movie and you find that your Apple TV is asking for your Apple TV password and then, in fact, charges you. So in essence, we've paid $60 for this movie. And
you're not getting your $30 back. Wait a second. So you're telling me that you sent me $30 and then when you went to purchase the movie, it said you have to enter your credit card information?
No, all it said was, because I have the app on my Apple TV, and it says just enter your Apple ID password. So I entered it, and I was like, all right, we have charged you $29.99 plus tax.
Score! So I just scored myself $30 for nothing.
You did.
You know what? I'm gonna send you back your $30.
Another good question, Brian. Have you used any of your recovery time to watch any of Brockmire?
I'm not even familiar with what that show is.
All right. Anything else you're watching or anything else you are planning on watching the coming week?
Not that I don't believe I watched anything else. I was under a lot of stress and anxiety leading into this surgery. I'm not going to lie. So I don't think I was really paying that much attention to television before, but I certainly have spent a lot of time watching stuff since.
All right. You know what's still out there, Brian? COVID.
AIDS. Oh, sorry.
AIDS and COVID-19. This coming from overseas, a 90-year-old Belgian woman died after she became infected with 2 different strains of COVID-19 at the same time. Her case was the first documented of a patient infected with 2 strains, although the phenomenon is probably underestimated, according to one of the lead researchers.
So do we know which strains she had?
So
was it Orange Kush and Midnight Haze?
It was not. She reportedly became sick in March with the alpha and beta strains of the virus, better known as the ones that were first identified in the United Kingdom and South Africa.
Right.
So she was hospitalized near Brussels after experiencing falls. Motorcycles out there. She contracted the 2 variants, likely from different people.
Why did she get vaccinated?
I don't know if she was. It doesn't say if she was vaccinated or not.
She clearly wasn't, because it would be part of the story. So clearly here we have an individual who felt that they were just too good to get the vaccine, and now they're dead.
I mean, she was 90, Brian. Have a little bit of sympathy.
She's lucky she didn't die the first time around.
I mean, you have to imagine, though, if you get 2 cases of COVID at the same time, like, God just wants you dead. Like, you just have to maybe just acknowledge it at that point.
You know, Ron, I have no sympathy for people whose bodies are not made to stand up to the coronavirus. You know, as somebody who did contract COVID-19 last year, 2020, whose body generated the required antibodies to provide him immunity, who then went out and researched the vaccines, which was the highest level, the gold standard, if you would, who went out and has 2 shots of Moderna flowing through me. I don't feel bad for this woman dying.
All right. But if I might say, and you bring up a good point, you had COVID last March and April, fought through it for 3 straight weeks, still doing this podcast.
Never missed an episode.
And doing it again tonight with a surgically repaired meniscus just 2 days ago in intense pain, fighting through it. I've said this before to you in private. I will say this now to you in public. You are the toughest man in podcasting. Look at that knee, bandaged up, swollen, repaired, and yet you are here bringing the funny, bringing the entertainment. I just hope the people out there appreciate enough what the sacrifice you're making tonight.
Oh, it really fucking hurts right now, Ron. I'm not gonna lie.
Speaking of, yes.
I was gonna say, did you want to don't forget we have Ron Answers the Internet later. I want to hype it up. I want to hype it up so people know it's coming.
All right. Speaking of vaccines, you know, Pfizer announced this week that they feel that people might need to get a booster shot, specifically because of the highly contagious Delta variant of COVID-19. But Dr. Anthony Fauci said today that Americans right now don't need the booster shot.
That's because Pfizer is not. They're not backing their product. They're not sitting there saying, "Listen, what we put out there is the best in the world." They're saying it could be a little bit better. Moderna, the gold standard, is out there saying our vaccine. You don't need booster shots. It's throw us whatever variant you want. It's not going to happen. Throw us a Loki. Throw us an alligator Loki.
Right.
You're still covered with Moderna.
Throw you a President Loki.
I didn't get the reference that he was President Loki.
You didn't see the vote pin on his lapel? Clearly obvious.
Now, my question to you is this: all joking aside,
yes,
were other characters during that fight scene recognizable to you?
Not to me, no.
Okay. I hate that you knew a lapel pin was. I hate that. It really bothers me so much.
Well, now there's just a ton of President Loki memorabilia available online at the Disney store, so you can buy your very own lapel pin, Brian.
Are you telling people to buy stuff on the Disney Store because you are a Disney shareholder who will enjoy some of the profits that are created by people buying Disney items?
I might hold a few shares of Disney.
Stonks.
But yes, unfortunately, Disney is down a little bit since I bought it. So need to do what I can to push it back up. Speaking of coronavirus and vaccines, Team USA swimmer Michael Andrew confirmed on Thursday that he remains unvaccinated for the coronavirus ahead of the Tokyo Olympics. Reaffirming a stance that he and his family made clear at the U.S. Olympic swimming trials last month, and probably subjecting himself and U.S. officials to further uncomfortable questions when the games begin in 2 weeks. Again, these are the same Tokyo Games that just recently announced that there will be no spectators allowed due to a surge of cases. Yet this man will be going over to compete unvaccinated, potentially putting his fellow athletes, fellow people at risk. Brian, what do you have there, my friend?
This is the best present I've received in a long time. As a get well present, I received a customized Ron Doctor plush toy.
Dr. Ron, if you will.
Hey, Dr. Ron! I also received one, which you can see in the back of Ron's lovely wife. I will not show it in the podcast until she makes an appearance, but there will be in the upcoming weeks puppet shows with said plush dolls.
I mean, they turned out, you see these things online and you hope that it will look as good as, it would look on the online when you get it in your house. And I even used the mustache picture. I think I looked most porn doctorly in that photo.
I'm so happy with it. So happy. Happy.
Let's not tease people too much. Let's get right to Ron Answers the Internet. We have some questions that need to be answered, and you are turning to me for these answers, if I am reading the bit correctly.
Yes. Now, we all know that Barstool Sports have a very heavy presence on the internet. One of the bits that they like to do is invite celebrities or pseudo-celebrities on, and they ask them challenging questions. So this isn't quite a lightning round, but it's similar to a lightning round. But the idea here, Ron, is that these are questions that are, some of them are challenging, some of them are insightful, but I think they're all, we're going to learn a little bit more about you as the questions progress.
All right, let's get to it.
Ron, what's the worst text you can get?
I mean, I suppose like if a family member has died or something like that.
Okay. All right. Mine was, we have to talk.
Also a bad one. I'll give you that.
That's a bad one. That's a bad one. I didn't think about the family member dying. That tells you what. Number 2, you are offered $100,000 to put a baby in a microwave for 5 seconds. Would you do it?
I don't think I could. I
don't
think I could. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to do that.
All right. Okay. Which reality TV show would you be best on, and why?
Ooh, that is a good one. What reality TV show would I be best on, and why? I'm not even sure anymore. I don't even know what reality shows are out there that
pick a reality show that you did watch that you think
completely nonsense. I mean,
MTV Road World's Challenge, Survivor. I would be terrible on Survivor.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, I wouldn't do well on Survivor, Bachelor, 90 Day Fiance, Married at First Sight. You know what? I would crush my 600-pound life because I've already lost a lot of weight as it is.
Absolutely. You look great, by the way.
I would look even better next to someone that's like 832 pounds and their flesh is fused with their sofa.
What if you're on top of them just plowing away at them?
You always have to take it that one step too far.
That's where I go, Ron. That's where I go. Here we go. Here's the next one. If you could watch a sex tape with 2 fictional characters, who would they be?
Fry and Leela from Futurama.
I don't know who either of them are. That one didn't work out as well as I thought it was going to.
I understand.
If you could get your hands on any one person's phone and be able to look through it for 10 minutes, whose phone do you want to go through?
Oh, yours, without a doubt.
Really?
Yeah. I think there's stuff that even you hide in there.
Ugh. Oh, there's a lot of dick pics.
Even better.
That I received, that
Right.
I'm receiving.
Right.
Would you rather the world lose all women or all sports?
I think sports.
Okay. You have to pick one food for your wife to chew and spit in your mouth. What food are you picking?
I mean, I would probably go pizza just for the fact that she loves pizza and she'd probably try and hold on to as much of it as she could.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest thing someone has said to you during sex?
So are we dating now?
You mean you and I?
No, that was the thing said to me during sex.
Oh my God. Wait a second. You're actually having whoa. You're having sex with someone, and while you are in there, or they're in you, your partner said, "So are we dating?"
I think it was like right at the beginning.
I hope you said yes.
Of course. And it was true. I mean,
what is the craziest thing a girlfriend or wife has ever done to you?
Gone off birth control without telling me.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Get a little lightheaded just then?
A little bit. If you could become a ghost and haunt one person, who would it be?
It would be Matt Beaker.
He fucks up the show every week. What is the most embarrassing way to die in your home?
In my home?
In your home, what is the most embarrassing way to die?
Genitals get caught in the garbage disposal.
Whew, that would be embarrassing. Would you rather watch softcore porn or minor league sports for the rest of your life?
I probably have to go softcore porn.
Okay, I like that one. If you had to get a lip tattoo, what would it say?
Say Brian forever.
Aw, that's a lie. Would you rather have sex for 30 seconds or 1 hour?
30 seconds. I got stuff to do.
Solid. I will do that. Here's the last one. If you could turn one regular movie into a porno with the same actors, what movie would it be?
Clockwork Orange.
Okay. Well, ultraviolence.
Yes, a little bit.
Okay. All right. That's it. Those are your Ron answers the internet.
Sounds good. In the meantime, we kind of touched on talking about Disney stock earlier, but we do have some information on stocks.
Stonks.
So last week was a rough week in the stock market for so-called meme stocks, which seem to be falling out of favor with investors as prices tumble and investment fades. Some of these include, of course, GameStop, AMC Theaters, Bed Bath & Beyond, and others. They had peaked the week of June 8th with a combined value of $963 million, but they had dropped. So this past week, they tumbled all the way down to a combined total of $360 million. A basket of 37 of retail traders' favorite stocks that's tracked by Bloomberg is down nearly 20% from its peak on June 8th as investors look for safer bets.
It definitely has been a rough couple months. There definitely has been how do I say this? There does seem to be a flocking of money away from smaller investments, smaller companies towards safer investments.
Right. But
and as such, my stock portfolio has suffered.
It's been brutal. I'm not going to lie. Most of our stocks, I feel, have turned into long holds at this time.
Yeah, including Labor Smart on over the counter at LTNC. We did get some exciting news this week where Manny Pacquiao, gearing up for his fight in Las Vegas against someone, was hyping up the next level hydrogen water product that Labor Smart is putting out there. So hopefully that was on Friday. So maybe there'll be a little movement on that stock tomorrow.
We'll see. One person not doing well in the stock market lately, friend of the podcast and Barstool president, Dave Portnoy, said this week that he's been losing on average over $150,000 every day recently, and has not had a good day in the stock market. And
that's bad.
Month and a half. That is bad. So as bad as our days have been, at least we haven't been losing that kind of money.
You know what? He sold most of his company. The guy's probably a billionaire, and he's banging nines in Florida. I don't feel that bad for him.
Let's see. What else do we have this week, Brian? What else?
Ron, have you been following what's been going on in Haiti?
A little bit. I understand that the president apparently was assassinated over in Haiti. Perhaps you
fascinating story. I've been following it. If you want, I'll tell you. I'll bring you up to speed on it. So there has been some political turmoil in Haiti for the last 400, 500 years.
Right.
So what's been going on lately is no different than what is par for the course. It is a very impoverished country which shares the island of Hispaniola with the Dominican Republic. The prime minister or the prime minister was recently elected. The president has been putting off presidential elections. I'm already wrong here. I'm sorry. Anyway, so last week in the middle of the night, probably about 30 armed individuals, all carrying high action rifles, machine guns, whatnot, dressed in black, stampede through the neighborhood where the president lives, announcing that they are agents of the U.S. DEA, arguing for the president's security team to stand down while they carry out a raid. In the process, they break into the home of the president, shoot him to death, shoot his wife. None of the security forces shoot back. Since then, probably about 20 individuals have been arrested in Haiti. You are talking about Colombian nationals that were hired as part of to partake in a security detail. People that have been arrested say that various security companies located in Florida as well as Colombia hired them for a big payday, but did not tell them exactly what they would be doing. A lot of them are claiming they were unaware that there was going to be any type of assassination attempts that were going to happen. And basically, you are looking at organized chaos going on right now in Haiti.
Yeah, because I believe one of the challenges is with having named a new prime minister who had not been sworn in, is that the prime minister is the person that can set up who the temporary president is. So
yes.
We're basically looking at a potential situation of having two people named as temporary president. And also the Senate now feels that they can also implement a temporary president until elections are held as well.
And the Senate has absolutely no legal status right now because they have not, the Constitution that set up the Senate required a legal action to renew the Senate's validity in the government, and that lapsed probably about 2 years ago. They have the Senate, I believe, is 40% occupied now in terms of people who are the roles have been are just literally vacant. So it literally is just it's a fascinating story to watch. You kind of look at what's going on there and compare that to America over the past 18 months as we were leading up to our presidential election, the storming of the Capitol on January 6th, and you realize just how close to anarchy a lot of these countries are.
Speaking of our country, we're coming back, and we've got the Miami Condo Collapse, which earlier last week they switched from a rescue mission to a recovery mission. They do not feel that there is any potential survivors left in the rubble. The death count is now up to 90, with 71 victims identified and next of kin notified. We have 31 individuals left accounted for. Although they did manage to pull a cat alive from the rubble the other day and reunite the cat with their family. So I guess that's a little something. And then,
so what you're saying, but if I remember correctly, Ron, at the beginning of when this story first became national news, they were saying that 159 people were missing. Now it seems like you're talking in the 120s, correct?
That is where, unless there's some misinformation out there, that is apparently where we're looking at.
So it sounds like the total death toll here, the potential death toll here, is plummeting just as fast as the 12th story of that building was, as it pancaked onto the 11th, 10th, all the way down to right above the garage floor.
I guess you could say that. I personally wouldn't say that, but you could say
you
that.
Wouldn't.
No,
you wouldn't.
Me personally.
Okay.
A hotel maid is being hailed as a hero for helping to potentially thwart a mass shooting out in Denver, Colorado. She tipped off police after she found more than a dozen weapons and 1,000 rounds of ammunition at a hotel near Coors Field on Friday. The discovery was made inside of a room on the 8th floor of the Maven Hotel, and cops removed 16 long guns, body armor, and ammunition from the room, which had a balcony overlooking Denver's downtown. 3 men and a woman were arrested and charged with weapons possessions. 3 of the suspects were previous offenders, and 3 of them were also charged with the intent to distribute drugs. One of the suspects, a recent divorcee, had posted a cryptic Facebook message saying he would, quote, go out in a big way. Initially, some people felt that this may have been tied to a potential attack on the All-Star game that the Major League Baseball will be holding at Coors Field in just a couple of days. But the police came out earlier today and said it was not connected to the All-Star game. They haven't really said why these folks had all these weapons inside the hotel room, but they did say it was not an instance of domestic terrorism against the All-Star game.
Yeah, it would be a shame if that's what it was. And I also, my big fear is that we don't really find out what's going on here. I mean, I love a good conspiracy, and the conspiracy theories have ruined this country. But I still have a lot of questions about Las Vegas.
The shooting from Mandalay Bay.
How did that guy get so many weapons into a hotel where there are video cameras covering every inch of a building? How is this guy able to break open the windows there? You're not able to. Like, those things are meant to withstand just about anything. It feels fishy.
No, I hear. I mean, you think about the level of security in any hotel in Las Vegas, especially one that has a casino. Like, I mean, you would think just to protect their own assets and their own money, they would have security that would prevent large quantities of weapons being brought in.
And he hadn't allowed the cleaning to be in his room for months. He had been in the room for months. It just doesn't sit right with me. And I'm not saying that he wasn't a single shooter who took out a country music festival. I'm just saying I feel like there's more information there that should be revealed.
I got you. You know why I am looking forward to the All-Star game this year, Brian?
So you could bet on the home run derby?
So it will be 3 days where the New York Yankees do not disappoint me this season.
They fucked up so bad today. So bad. They were supposed to they won the first 2 games against Houston, our arch nemesis since the Red Sox got good. They shut out Houston on Friday. They shut out Houston yesterday. They were leading, 7-2?
I believe so, yes.
Going into the bottom of the 9th inning, and our bullpen gives up 6 runs. We lose the game 8-7. Heartbreaking way to go into the All-Star break.
Yep. Well, maybe it's time for us to take a little break. Get ready for After Dark.
Okay.
Give you time to ice that knee. I've been told icing is important.
That's right. You read my mind. I'm going to go get a bag of ice.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. For our Patreon subscribers, we will see you in a half hour after dark. Dr. Ron will be there as well. We will have our Urban Dictionary guessing game.
Yes. So what people are going to miss is I've gone through Urban Dictionary, come up with some of the worst, most offensive terms that they have, and I'm going to make Ron guess what they are.
And I cringe at what might be in there because I think we all know what Brian can be like. And so we'll see what's in there. So again, if you want to become a Patreon subscriber, go to ronandbrianpodcast.com, click on the link in the upper right-hand corner. Bronze level or higher gets you access to the live After Dark broadcast. There is still time to catch tonight's After Dark. So if you subscribe
half an hour
in the next 28 minutes, we will get you the link to join us on After Dark. So again, Patreon subscribers, we will see you at the bottom of the hour. Everybody else, thank you for joining us, and we will see you folks again next week.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you